Understanding what a linear term and what a quadratic term, you need to understand the differences. Again, a quick recap: a linear expression would be, for example, if you consider ax plus b, it will be a linear term because your variable of x, your variable of x has to the power of 1. If you consider the quadratic expression, it will be ax squared plus bx plus c. And as you can see, x, which is your variable, is raised to the power of 2. It is raised to the power of 2. Yeah, that is your quadratic expression. So these are the differences between a linear term and a quadratic term. Right. So now let's move on to some questions with regards to solving simultaneous equations. Yeah, we can understand they are both linear equations. They are both linear equations, right? That's for us to understand with regards to identifying if it is a linear equation or a non-linear, that is a quadratic equation. First and foremost, we are going to label the equations. We are going to label it as equation 1 and equation 2. We use the method of elimination. So which means one of the variables will get eliminated. Yep, one of the variables will get eliminated. What this means is either x has to cancel out or y has to cancel out. It will be easy for me to cancel out or eliminate the variable of y. What is the reason? The reason is, remember, I mentioned we need to observe the coefficient of the variables of both the equation 1 and 2. Yeah. The reason as to why we are going to eliminate y, variable y, is because if you look at both equations, the coefficient of y in both equations are the same. Equation 1 has a coefficient of 3 and equation 2 also has a coefficient of 3. Whereas if you compare x, the coefficient is 5 and the second equation coefficient is 2. Yeah. So because always remember, if they're the same coefficient, you can simply eliminate it. You can simply cancel them out. So how do you cancel them out? Think of it like this. Now, if you had plus 3, right, in order to cancel this, right, we have both plus 3. Yeah, you can see you have plus 3, plus 3. I'll come back to y. Let's put the y as well. You have plus 3y, plus 3y. But I want to get 0 here. I want to eliminate it. That is the meaning of method of elimination. So if you have plus 3y and another plus 3y, so these are the two positive 3y's from both the equations. So how do you cancel them is, how would you cancel them? Take a minute and think about it. How would you cancel when you have 3? You need to cancel this 3. How would you cancel this 3? Simply, students, remember, you need to put a minus sign. If you have the same signs to begin, then to get to 0, you should subtract. Yeah. So you have plus 3y, and then to cancel this plus 3y, you have to subtract the 2. Yeah. So what is meant by this is you simply need to subtract equation 1 minus equation 2. Equation 1 minus equation 2. Now you need to carefully look into your LHS and RHS. I'm going to write it like this. Equation 1 minus equation 2 is simply because of this feature here, because our objective, like again, is to cancel out plus 3y. Yep. So in order to cancel, when you have the same signs, that's plus and plus here. How do you cancel them? How do you get to 0? By subtracting the two equations in this case. So we are going to write 5x plus 3y equals 41. I'm going to repeat equation 1. That's this, equation 1. Then minus equation 2. That will be 2x plus 3y equals 20. Yeah. You can consider another way of expressing or writing this is to write the LHS terms first and then move on to RHS terms. You can do that way as well. But this is also not a problem. As long as you understand the method, it should be fine. Now we will subtract the two equations respectively. You need to look into your like terms. In this case, we've got 5x. So with this minus coming into play, you need to understand what happens here is 5x minus 2x would give you 3x. Yeah, 5x minus 2x would give you 3x. And as we already know, plus 3y minus plus 3y here, what happens is with minus and plus coming into play, it will be 3y minus 3y. So the answer would be 0. Your answer here would be 0 because 3y minus 3y would be 0y. Yeah. For the moment, I will write it as 0y. Then we have 41 minus 20. 41 minus 20 would be, in this case, equal to 21. Yeah, 21. So if you do not consider the 0y here, this equation simply means I'm going to continue it in this space. Let's take some space here. We have 3x equals 21. Yeah, we have 3x equals 21. This is what the equation simplifies to, because there is no point of writing the 0y because it's 0 after all. Yeah, it's 0 after all. Then what we do is we are going to write x equals 21 divided by 3, and that will be equal to 7. That will be equal to 7. Yeah. That is equal to 7. Right. Then moving on, we have to find the value of y. So how do we find that is, you can consider we have already found the value of one variable, namely the variable of x, that is equal to 7. So what we do is we write x equals 7 and then we find the corresponding value of y. For that, students, remember, you can use any of the two equations. Remember, to find the corresponding value of y, you can use any of the two equations. So I'm going to use the equation which has the smallest numbers. The reason being, since you are not using a calculator, and it is easier to deal with smaller numbers when multiplying or dividing, adding or subtracting. It is much easier to deal with smaller numbers. So which is why I'm going to go ahead and use equation number 2. Okay. I'm going to rewrite equation 2 in this case. That is 2x plus 3y equals 20. So always remember, I will recall that labeling this equations at the very beginning is extremely important because of such scenarios. Now, in this case, you can see I refer it as equation number 2. So you shouldn't be lost if and when referencing is used. Yeah, in this case, we used I've labeled equation 2 as 2x plus 3y equals 20. So in this case, you need to understand that equation 2 would be 2x plus 3y equals 20. So what we can do is, in this case, we're going to substitute x equals 7. We're going to substitute x equals 7. So that's 2 times, instead of x, we can now write the number 7. Yeah, so 2 multiplied by 7. Let's write as 2 multiplied by 7 plus 3y equals 20. We can calculate the value or we can evaluate what 2 times 7 is. That will be 14 plus 3y equals 20. Then we have to remove this 14, what we do is we can take it to the right-hand side. Then we have 3y equals 20 minus 14. That's 3y equals 6. 3y equals 6. So to get rid of the 3, we can divide both sides by 3. So 3 and 3 cancels. We have y equals 6 divided by 3, and the answer would be 2. Yeah. So now we have found the two values of x and y. So the answer to this question would be x equals 7 and y equals 2. So let's understand, let's take a minute and understand what this answer is. So when you substitute x equals 7 and y equals 2 to any of the two equations, you should get the corresponding values on the right-hand side. Now, let's say, for example, let's consider equation number 1, and then let's just substitute x equals 7 and y equals 2 onto the left-hand side, and let's see the answer. So we have 5 times 7, that is the value of x that we have got, plus 3 times 2. 5 times 7 in this case is 35, and 3 times 2 is 6. 35 plus 6 is equal to 41. So as you can see, the two sides of the equation is balanced. It is balanced. But when you substitute x equals 7 and y equals 2. Same way, if you consider equation 2, and then if you plug in your values of x equals 7 and y equals 2, you can do a mind calculation here. 2 times 7 would be 14. 14 plus 3 times 2 would be 6. 14 plus 6 would be equal to 20. So as you can see, both equations are well balanced. Yeah. If you consider this on a graph, what does this mean? By now, students, you should understand that I have already mentioned that they are linear equations, so which means they are straight line equations. They are straight line equations. So these two straight line equations, let me show you a picture or a diagram, a rough diagram, as to how they would look in terms of a graph. In terms of a graph, let's consider a Cartesian plane. This is not exact coordinates, students. Please note these are not the exact coordinates. This is merely for you to understand. You have two straight lines. Yep, the two straight lines are from equation 1. Let's say this would be a falling line. So this would be this, and this would be, let's say, this. Yeah. So these values of x equals 7 and y equals 2 are the points of intersection. So this is 7, and this would be 2. This is 2. You need to understand, if you consider it as in terms of a graph, what does this x equals 7 and y equals 2 mean is the point of intersection of these two lines. You can always plot and see for yourself. If you would like, you can take some time and see the two graphs intersecting, and that will be x equals 7 and y equals 2. That is the point of, you can say these are the points of intersection as well for x equals 7 and y equals 2. First things first, I always insist for you to start off with labeling the two equations. In this case, we've got the two given equations. In this case, you need to observe the coefficient of the two variables. So in this case, we've got the variable of x, the coefficient of the variable of x in first case, for the first equation is 5. And for the second equation, it is 3. So they are not the same numbers. 5 and 3 are not equal. But if you consider the variable of y, when a number is not given in front of a letter, you should always assume it to be 1. Yeah, unless mentioned otherwise, you should always assume the number in front of a given letter is equal to 1. Coefficient of y, we have plus 1. I'm going to consider the variable y, students. In this case, we've got plus 1y, and up next we have minus 1y. 1 is not given, but I'm going to write it anyway. Yep, you can see that 1 is not given, but I'm going to write it anyway. Now, how do I get this as 0? You need to think. I have selected the same number to begin with. I have not considered x, but I have considered y. The reason I considered the variable of y is because you can see that the variable of y has the same number. Yeah, same number of 1. But opposite signs. 1 is positive. Equation 1, you can see, is plus y. And equation 2, it is minus 1. Always remember, if you have such a scenario, what we do is we simply add the two equations. Yeah, we have to add the two equations, because if and only when you add two opposite signs, you get 0. In order to eliminate, we are going to use the method of elimination. Again, as the name implies, we will be eliminating one of the variables. In this case, I'm going to eliminate y. I'm going to consider equation 1 again. So this time I'm going to write 1 plus equation 1 plus equation 2. If you recall, for the previous question, we had equation 1 minus equation 2, but in this case, we are going to write equation 1 plus equation 2. So what we do is I will write equation 1 again. That's 5x plus y equals 11. And equation 2 would be 3x minus y equals 9. You need to add them out. When you add them, we have 5x plus 3x, that's 8x. And then plus y minus y, as I've shown here, what happens is it becomes 0y. And 11 plus 9, that will be equal to 20. Yeah, that will be equal to 20. 11 plus 9 would be equal to 20. So which means we have 8x equals 20. You do not have to write the 0y because it's 0 after all. Yeah, which means we have eliminated the variable of y. And now we've got 8x equals 20. I will continue it here. Now you need to isolate the variable of x, or you simply make x the subject of the equation. In order to do that, you need to kick out, or you need to get rid of 8. So you divide both sides by 8. Then we have x equals 20 divided by 8. And the answer here would be, for you to simplify, you know that 4 is a common multiple, which means I can divide by 4. That is both the numerator as well as the denominator. 20 divided by 4 would be 5, and 8 divided by 4 would be 2. X is equal to 5 over 2, which is equal to 2.5. Yeah. So that is the answer. For now, your objective would be to find the answer to your corresponding variable, that is y. So again, as I mentioned before, I'm going to use the equation that has the smallest numbers. Again, in this case, it will be equation 2. I'm going to rewrite equation 2 in this case. That will be 3x minus y equals 9. So what we are going to do is I'm going to consider 3 multiplied by 5 over 2. I'm going to use the fraction for my convenience, minus y equals 9. Since we have found the value of x, students, that is this here, you can simply substitute the value of x as the number you found, and then you can find the variable of y. So 3 times 5 over 2, that will be 15 over 2 minus y equals 9. And then I have to make y the subject. To make y the subject, I'm going to simply swap the positions of this variable y and the number 9. So I simply shift minus y to the right-hand side, and I shift plus 9 to the left-hand side. So I now have 15 over 2 minus 9 equals y. In other words, y is equal to 15 over 2 minus 9. Now, how do I find this answer here? Is simply using fractions. This would be 9 over 1. Then this would be 15 minus 9 multiplied by 2, and the whole term here divided by 2. That will be equal to 15 minus 18 divided by 2, which means we have come to the end of the answer here. We have y equals 15 minus 8 would be negative 3 over 2. Negative 3 over 2. Yeah, so which means we have y equals negative 1.5. So the answers here for this question is x equals, we have 2.5, and y equals negative 1.5. These are the answers for this question. Okay, let's label them as equation 1 and equation 2. If you look into the variables of x from equation 1, the coefficient is 2, and equation 2 has a coefficient of 3. And if you look at y, the next variable, one is positive 4, but the other one is minus 1. Yeah, the one is not given, so which means you need to assume it as 1. So we've got minus y. So both equations, students, you need to understand that the coefficients are different. They are both of different coefficients. So in this case, it will be easiest to make sure at the end of the day, you need to understand by now, in order to eliminate, in order to eliminate, we need to make sure that the equations would be the coefficient of the variables would be the same in order to eliminate. So I'm going to introduce a new method that is called the method of substitution. You can still use the method of elimination, not a problem. But I think the method of substitution would be much easier here and much shorter, because if you are to move forward with the method of elimination, you need to make sure the coefficients of one of the two variables would be the same. That is, for example, you can consider multiplying equation 2 by 4. You multiply all the terms by 4, and then you build another equation, and then you can eliminate considering equation 1 and equation 3. That is your new equation. But instead, for this example, I'm going to use method of substitution in place. So as before, we use the method of elimination. Elimination meaning you cancel out one of the variables. In this case, we are going to use the method of substitution, which means I am going to substitute. As the name implies, I'm going to substitute. So let's see as to which variable and how we do it. I'm going to rewrite equation 2. I'm going to consider equation 2. That's 3x minus y equals 4. This is the equation 2, students. And I'm going to make y the subject. I'm going to make y the subject. If I make y the subject, then I would have, so I simply can take negative y to the other side, to the RHS, and plus 4 to the LHS. So what actually happens is, students, you need to add y to both sides, and then you need to subtract 4 from both sides. So once you make y the subject, you should get your equation changed to this. That will be y. So which means y equals 3x minus 4. I have isolated y, or I have made y the subject, and I have equation 2 now as y equals 3x minus 4. So this is nothing but equation 2. Yeah, this is equation 2. And I plug in, since I've labeled this as equation 2, I'm going to simply erase this as equation 2, just to make sure that you do not get confused as to which equation 2 represents. Since, yeah, I substitute equation 2 in 1. Wherever you see y in equation 1, it'll be substituted with nothing but 3x minus 4. Let's rewrite equation 1. That's 2x plus 4y equals 26. So now you need to understand there will be a substitution for this term here. And what happens is the first term, that is 2x, will be unchanged. No changes because it's simply 2x. Plus 4, instead of y, students, we are going to write the value of this. That's substituting equation 2 in equation 1. So what is y? Y would be 3x minus 4. 3x minus 4 equals 26. Yep. This is equation number 2 substituted in equation number 1. So once you expand these terms here, you should get 2x plus, let's expand this carefully. So this becomes 12x. Remember, 4 gets distributed by both terms inside the bracket. So a common mistake here is just multiplying by the first term only. So make sure that you do not fall into that category. So make sure that you distribute the 4 with both terms inside the bracket. So we have 12x as well as minus 16 equals 26. Now make sure that you collect the like terms on either side as we are going to find the value of x. 2x plus 12 would be the like terms here. That will be 14x. And then we've got 26 minus 16 shifted to the right hand side would become plus 16. It will be plus 16. 14x equals 42. Yes, 42. And then you simply divide both sides by 14 in order to eliminate the 14, that is to isolate the value of isolate x, or simply to make x the subject. You divide both sides by 14, divide by 14. So 14 and 14 cancels. So x in this case equal to 3. Yeah, so you should be familiar with your multiplication table. In this case, we found out that x equals 3. After we find the value of x, we need to find the value of y. So I simply consider equation 2. So equation 2, the new equation is y equals 3x minus 4. This is convenient to use as y is already the subject. So you simply need to substitute the value of x, and then you have already found your answer. So we have y equals 3 times 3 minus 4. That will be 3 times 3 would be 12 minus 4. And this answer would be equal to 8. This answer would be equal to 8. So we have now found the values of x as well as y. So which means the final answer to this question is x equals 3 and y equals 8. Yeah, these are your answers to this simultaneous equations. So thank you for joining, and if you have any doubts or any questions to clarify, you can always drop it as a comment, and I will get to the answer. I will answer in the time being. Thanks for watching, and we will meet again very soon. Thank you.